So then you hope of pardon from Lord Angelo.
The miserable have no other medicine, but only hope. I've hope to live, and am prepared to die.
Be absolute for death. Either death or life shall thereby be the sweeter. Reason thus with life. If I do lose thee, I do lose a thing that none but fools would keep. A breath thou art, servile to all the skyey influences that dost this habitation where thou keepst hourly afflict. Merely thou art death's fool. For him thou labourest by thy flight to shun, and yet runn'st toward him still. Thy best of rest is sleep, and that thou oft provokest, yet grossly fear'st thy death, which is no more. Thou art not thyself, for thou exists on many a thousand grains that issue out of dust. Happy thou art not, for what thou hast not, still thou strivest to get, and what thou hast, forgett'st. Thou art not certain, for thy complexion shifts to strange effects after the moon. If thou art rich, thou art poor. For like an ass whose back with ingots bows, thou bear'st thy heavy riches but a journey, and death unloads thee. Friend hast thou none, for thine own bowels, which to call thee sire, the mere effusion of thy proper loins, do curse the gout, serpigo, and the rheum for ending thee no sooner. Thou hast nor youth nor age, but as it were an after-dinner sleep, dreaming on both, for all thy blessed youth becomes as aged, and doth beg the alms of palsied eld. And when thou art old and rich, thou hast neither heat, affection, limb, nor beauty to make thy riches pleasant. What's yet in this that bears the name of life? Yet in this life lie hid more thousand deaths. Yet death we fear that makes these odds all even.
I humbly thank you. To sue to live, I find I seek to die, and seeking death, find life. Let it come on.
Signor, here is your sister.
Dear sir, ere long I'll visit you again.
Take those lips away that so sweetly were forsworn, and those eyes the break of day, lights that do mislead the morn.
Sister, what's the comfort?
Why, as all comforts are most good indeed, Lord Angelo, having affairs to heaven, intends you for his swift ambassador, where you shall be an everlasting leisure. Therefore your best appointment make with speed. Tomorrow you set on.
Is there no remedy?
None but such remedy as to save a head, to cleave a heart in twain.
But is there any?
Yes, brother, you may live. There is a devilish mercy in the judge, if you'll implore it, that will free your life but fetter you till death.
Perpetual durance.
Aye, just perpetual durance. a restraint, though all the world's vastity you had, to a determined scope.
But in what nature?
In such a one as you, consenting to it, would bark your honor from the trunk you bear, and leave you naked.
Let me know the point.
Oh, I do fear thee, Claudio, and I quake, lest thou a feverish life shouldst entertain, and 6 or 7 winters more respect than perpetual honor darest thou die. The sense of death is most in apprehension, and the poor beetle that we tread upon in corporal sufferance finds a pang as great as when a giant dies.
Why give you me this shame? Think you I can a resolution fetch from flowery tenderness? If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride, and hug it in mine arms.
There spake my brother, there my father's grave did utter forth a voice, yes, thou must die. Thou art too noble to conserve a life in base appliances. This outward sainted deputy is yet a devil. His filth within being cast, he would appear a pond as deep as hell.
The princely Angelo.
Oh, 'tis the cunning livery of hell. The damned's body to invest in cover in frenzy guards. Dost thou think, Claudio, if I would yield him my virginity, thou mightst be freed?
Oh, heavens, it cannot be.
Yes, he would give it to thee from this rank offense, so to offend him still. This night's the time that I should do what I abhor to name, else thou diest tomorrow.
Thou shalt not do it.
Oh, were it but my life, I'd throw it down for your deliverance as frankly as a pin.
Thanks. Dear Isabel.
Be ready, Claudio, for your death tomorrow.
Yes.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, now and in the hour of our
As he
death.
affections in him, that thus can make him bite the law by the nose, when he would force it. Sure, it is no sin, or of the deadly 7 it is the least.
Which is the least?
If it were damnable, he being so wise, why would he, for the momentary trick, be perdurably fined? Isabel!
What says my brother?
Death is a fearful thing.
And shamed life a hateful.
Aye, but to die, and go we know not where, to lie in cold obstruction and to rot, this sensible warm motion to become a kneaded clod, and the delighted spirit to bathe in fiery floods, or to reside in thrilling region of thick ribbed ice, to be imprisoned in the viewless winds, and blown with restless violence round about the pendant world, or to be worse than those of lawless and uncertain thought. Imagine howling. 'Tis too horrible. The weariest and most loathed worldly life that age, ache, penury, and imprisonment can lay on nature is a paradise to what we fear of death.
Alas! Alas!
Sweet sister, let me live. What sin you do to save a brother's life? Nature dispenses with the deed so far that it becomes a virtue.
Oh, you beast! Oh, faithless coward! Oh, dishonest wretch! Wilt thou be made a man out of my vice? Is it not a kind of incest to take life from thine own sister's shame? What should I think? Heaven shield my mother played my father fair, for such a warped slip of wilderness never issued from his blood. Take my defiance, die, perish. Might but my bending down reprieve thee from thy fate, it should proceed. I'll pray 1,000 prayers for thy death, no word to save thee.
Nay, hear me, Isabel.
Oh, fie, fie, fie! Thy sin's not accidental, but a trade. Mercy to thee would prove itself a bawd. 'Tis best thou diest quickly.
Nay, hear me, Isabella.
Vouchsafe a word, young sister, but one word.
What is your will?
I would by and by have some speech with you, The satisfaction I would require is likewise your own benefit.
I will attend you in a while.
Son, I have overheard what hath passed between you and your sister. Angelo had never the purpose to corrupt her, only he had made an essay of her virtue in order to practice his own judgment with the disposition of natures. She, having the truth of honor in her, made him that gracious denial which he is most glad to receive. I am confessor to Lord Angelo, and know this to be true. Therefore prepare yourself to death. Do not satisfy your resolution with hopes that are fallible. Tomorrow you must die. Go to your knees and make ready.
Let me ask my sister pardon. I am so out of love with life that I would sue to be rid of it.
Hold you there. Farewell. The assault that Angelo hath made to you, fortune hath conveyed it to my understanding, and but that frailty hath examples for his falling, I should wonder at Angelo. How will you do to content this substitute and to save your brother?
I am now going to resolve him. I had rather my brother die by the law than that my son should be unlawfully born. But oh, how much is the good Duke deceived in Angelo! If ever he returned and I can speak to him, I will open my lips in vain or discover his government.
That shall not be much amiss. Yet as the matter now stands, he shall avoid your accusation. He made trial of you only. Therefore fasten your ear on my advisings. To the love I have in doing good, a remedy presents itself. I do make myself believe that you may most uprighteously do a poor wronged lady a merited benefit. Redeem your brother from the angry law, do no stain to your own gracious person, and much please the absent duke, if peradventure he shall ever return to have hearing of this business.
Let me hear you speak farther. I have spirit to do anything that appears not foul in the truth of my spirit.
Virtue is bold, and goodness never fearful. Have you not heard speak of Mariana, the sister of Frederick, the great soldier who miscarried at sea?
I have heard of the lady, and good words went with her name.
She should this Angelo have married, was affianced to her by oath, and the nuptial appointed, between which time of the contract and the limit of the solemnity, her brother Frederick was wrecked at sea, having in that perished vessel the dowry of his sister. But mark how heavily this befell the poor gentlewoman. There she lost a noble and renowned brother. With him the portion and sinew of her fortune, her marriage dowry, with both this well-seeming Angelo.
Can this be so? Did Angelo so leave her?
Left her in tears, and dried not one of them with his comfort, swallowed his vows whole, pretending in her discoveries of dishonor, in few bestowed her on her own lamentation, which she yet wears for his sake, and he, a marble to her tears, is washed with them, but relents not.
What a merit were it in death to take this poor maid from the world! What corruption in this life that it will let this man live! But how out of this can she avail?
It is a rupture that you may easily heal, and the cure of it not only saves your brother, but keeps you from dishonor in doing it.
Show me how, good father.
This forenamed maid hath yet in her the continuance of her first affection. His unjust unkindness, that in all reason should have quenched her love, hath like an impediment in the current made it more violent and unruly. Go you to Angelo. Answer his requiring with a plausible obedience. Agree with his demands to the point. Only refer yourself to this advantage. First, that your stay with him may not be long, that the time have all shadow and silence in it, and the place answer to convenience. This being granted in course, and now follows all. We shall advise this wronged maid to stead up your appointment. Go in your place. If the encounter acknowledge itself hereafter, it may compel him to her recompense. And here, by this, is your brother saved, your honor untainted, the poor Mariana advantaged, and the corrupt deputy scaled. This maid will I frame and make fit for his attempt. If you think it well to carry this as you may, the doubleness of the benefit defends the deceit from reproof. What think you of it?
The image of it gives me content already, and I trust it will grow to a most prosperous perfection.
It lies much in your holding up. Haste you speedily to Angelo. If for this night he entreat you to his bed, give him promise of satisfaction. I'll presently to this dejected Mariana.
I thank you for this comfort. Fare you well, good father.
Patri et Filii.
Bless you, friar. What news abroad?
I know none.
News of the Duke.
Can you tell me of any?
Some say he's with the Emperor of Russia, others some he is in Rome, but where is he, think you?
I know not where, but wheresoever I wish him well.
It was a mad, fantastical trick of him to steal from the state and usurp the beggary he was never born to. Lord Angelo dukes it well in his absence. He puts transgression to it.
He does well in it.
A little more lenity to lechery would do no harm in him. Something too crabbed that way, friar.
It is too general a vice, and severity must cure it.
Yes, in good sooth, the vice is of a great kindred. It is well allied. But it is impossible to extirp it quite, friar, till eating and drinking be put down. They say this Angelo was not made by man and woman after this downright way of creation. Is it true, think you?
How should he be made, then?
Some report a sea maid spawned him, others that he was begot between two stockfishes. But it is certain that when he makes water, his urine is congealed ice. That I know to be true.
You are pleasant, sir, and speak apace.
Why, what a ruthless thing is this in him, for the rebellion of a codpiece to take away the life of a man. Would the Duke that is absent have done this? Ere he would have hanged a man for the getting 100 bastards. He would have paid for the nursing 1,000. He had some feeling of the sport. He knew the service, and that instructed him to mercy.
I never heard the absent Duke much detected for women. He was not inclined that way.
Oh, sir, you are deceived.
'Tis not possible.
Who, not the Duke? Yes, your beggar of 50, and his use was to put a ducat in her clack dish. The Duke had crotchets in him. He would be drunk, too. That let me inform you.
You do him wrong, surely.
Sir, I was an inward of his. A shy fellow was the Duke, and I believe I know the cause of his withdrawing.
What, I prithee, might be the cause?
No, pardon. 'Tis a secret must be locked between the teeth and the lips. But this I can let you understand. The greater file of the subject held the Duke to be wise.
Wise? Why, but no question he was.
A very superficial, ignorant, unweighing fellow.
Either this is envy in you, folly, or mistaking. The very stream of his life must give him a better proclamation.
Sir, I know him and I love him.
Love talks with better knowledge, and knowledge with dearer love.
Come, sir, I know what I know.
I can hardly believe that, since you know not what you speak. But if ever the Duke return, as our prayers are he may, let me desire you to make your answer before him. If it be honest what you have spoke, you'll have courage to maintain it. I am bound to call upon you, and I pray you, your name.
Sir, my name is Lucio, well known to the Duke.
He shall know you better, sir, if I may live to report you.
I fear you not, but no more of this. Canst thou tell me if Claudio die tomorrow or no?
Why should he die, sir?
Why? For filling a bottle with a tundish. I would the Duke we talk of were returned again. This ungenitured agent will unpeople the province with continency. Sparrows must not build in his house eaves, for they are lecherous. The Duke yet would have dark deeds darkly answered. He would never bring them to light. Would he were returned? Marry, this Claudio is condemned for untrussing. Farewell, good friar. I prithee, pray for me. The Duke, I say to thee again, would eat mutton on Fridays. He would mouth with a beggar, though she smelt of brown bread and garlic. Say that I said so. Farewell.
Good even, good father.
bliss and goodness on you.
Of whence are you?
Not of this country, though my chance is now to use it for my time. I am a brother of a gracious order, late come from the sea in special business from his holiness.
What news abroad in the world?
None, but that there is so great a fever on goodness that the dissolution of it must cure it. There's scarce truth enough to make society secure, but security enough to make fellowships accursed. Much upon this riddle runs the wisdom of the world. This news is old enough, yet it is every day's news. I pray you, of what disposition was the Duke?
One that, above all other strifes, contended especially to know himself.
What pleasure was he given to?
Rather rejoicing to see another marry, than marry at anything which professed to make him rejoice. A gentleman of all temperance. But leave we him to his events, with a prayer that they may prove prosperous, and let me desire to know how you find Claudio prepared. I am made to understand you have lent him visitation.
Yet had he framed to himself by the instruction of his frailty many deceiving promises of life, which I by my good leisure have discredited to him, and now is he resolved to die.
You have paid the heavens your function, and the prisoner the very debt of your calling. I have labored for the poor gentleman to the extremest shore of my modesty. But my brother Justice have I found so severe that he has forced me to tell him that he is indeed Justice.
If his own life answer the straightness of his proceeding, it shall become him well, wherein if he chance to fail, he hath sentenced himself.
I am going to visit with the prisoner. Fare you well.
Peace be with you. He who the sword of heaven will bear should be as holy as severe. Pattern in himself to know, grace to stand, and virtue go, more nor less to others paying than by self-offences weighing. Shame to him whose cruel striking kills for faults of his own liking. Twice treble shame on Angelo to weed my vice and let his grow. What a man within him hide, though angel on the outward side. Craft against vice must I apply. With Angelo tonight shall lie his old betrothed, but despised. So disguise shall, by the disguised, pay with falsehood, false exact, and perform an old contract.